Hello, y'all. It's me, Ashley, coming on. So, since I have come on last, which was yesterday, I've been in a very dreamlike mode. I've been thinking a lot about what I talked about the dreams. So, since I'm a little laid up and I'm at home a lot now, this came through my mind. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should talk about dreams because the subconscious controls almost like, I don't know, 90-95% of how things kind of emanate in our manifestation of life as we see it in this hologram play life world that we live in. And I think that this will hit more home towards those that are maybe star seeds, chosens, ascending persons, because a lot of us are very inquisitive and a lot of us tend to do a lot of the introspective work that it takes to look at our life as a paradigm in some respect. And the reason why I say this too is because I myself have kind of challenged a lot of things in my dream time, and I found certain patterns and things that I want to share. And primarily, I just want you to see if any of these elements you also interact with in dream time. And I think that's how we create a broader understanding. And maybe we can extrapolate and get to know each other in a sense of like trying to combine thoughts and measures that kind of help us solidify what these spaces or ways of being are. Because realistically, what I want to bring forth is that most of us, when we're in our dreams, if we do analyze them, if we do write our journals, if we do find certain patterns, these are elements that I want to express, because if you too see them or get them or are a part of them, say hello to your girl. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a higher self channeler, and you can find me at uphighhealing.com. I offer people a chance to be their own therapist, in a sense, their higher self. If there's someone who's maybe perhaps trying to tap in with their higher selves, or you want to know who your higher self is or higher selves are. If you're somebody who is just curious, please DM me. I have all of my links and bios in my description box, so please feel free. Catch me on Instagram or Facebook as well. But what my topic is today is primarily to do with dreams. And I called this color of my dreams because sometimes what I feel is the first most interesting aspect about dreams I want to talk about is color, hues, tints. So for myself, what I noticed is that if I truly feel like I'm in a, let's say, a different dimensional space. Now, I have to preface this with saying, yes, I am a very all over the place person when it comes to spirit and the expanse of what we are afforded here in this three-dimensional sense. But just hear me. Let's say, for example, in dreams, you are also in the same dimension, but in different levels of that same dimension. Just putting it out there. The reason why, some of it could be seen as inverse, some of it could be seen as, let's say, different dimensional spaces in the sense of coloring or hue, is because I personally feel like when I'm in dream time, some of the tints of the colors that I see, some dreams are more devoid of color than others, and some are more vibrant in color than others. So the color scheme seems to be very intrinsic and important as to determining where or how or what time, or also the phasing of who and what you can tangibly access in these dimensional spaces. Because you have to understand, people think like, oh, well, whatever, it's a dream. You're spending 8 hours somewhere else. And the thing is too, what people may also notice is that when it comes to dreams, we don't truly know how long we're really there. Sometimes it can feel like a whisper of time. Sometimes it can feel like a long time. So time is also very undecisive in these spaces that we go to when we are in dreams. So back to the color scheme. I personally feel that in my experience, I have been to inverse versions, and I would say inverse in the sense that I'm looking at a similar place. However, it's slightly grayer or darker in nature. So if you're somebody who also has seen this, what I think goes on in this personal color or hue is that a lot of the times I find that I tend to be in maybe an inverse version of the current place that I'm at. Because I notice a lot of people, characters in my day-to-day life are still in these spaces. And I also notice that it's the same places that I keep recurringly visiting while I'm in a grayer stated version of dream. That's number one. Number two is that there are more vibrant dreams. dreams were in which it is even more exceeded to the color system that we see every day in our three-dimensional sense here when we wake up. And the thing is too, perception of eyes, obviously we all as different beings may have different perceptions of color. So what I do mean is for the median understanding of what it means to see color here, you know, in our day-to-day, or what we perceive as color, to then go into a dream where things become more vibrant and extremely vibrant. So in my personal situation of why I think vibrancy is to be mentioned is because there are dreams that are the same color. There are dreams that are a lesser color. And then there's ones that have more color. So paying attention to color is something that I want to preface is somewhat of an importance. Because what I would say in the gray scale, or in the more inverse or maybe lesser layer of dimensional space as this one portrays right now, the reason why they're tinted perhaps is to show us a determination as to what we're facing or where we are or what space we're working with. So I feel like the soul, or all of our souls, kind of showcase to us that there's a pattern with the differentiation of the color scheme, the hue scheme within dreams. So please pay attention to that when you are in dreams. Maybe you've said to yourself, oh, why does this place look a little more gray? Why does this place seem a little more shiny? Why does this place seem like extra, like 4K, 8K, HD, whatever version, more vibrant, more alive? So please pay attention to those constructs. And also the next thing is, do you ever pay attention to the body you have? Because this is another thing too. Perception in a dream. In a dream, realistically, I have personally faced this many, many times where I look down and don't have a body. I feel like I have a body, but I don't. When I look down, I don't have a body. So those are more of an etheric feeling of the soul, because you as an essence of soul never can dissipate, be like destroyed. So therefore you are always going to be the essence of yourself, even encapsulated in the soul self. So what I believe is that in some instances in dreams, we don't even capture a body because it's not necessary for where our consciousness or our spirit / soul is venturing at that time. So there's that to think about. However, you do feel as if you are in a body, because I think we are corporally in our mind asphyxiated to the idea of some form of form. Now, another thing what I'll point out about a body is that sometimes you may not have a human body. Sometimes you'll look down and you may see a totally different body. It could be male, female, it could be human, not human. And if there is any takeaway I could say to you, if you are somebody that does pay attention to your dreams, the more you practice this in every single, it's like to qualify everything. Like you get to your dream, look down every time you're in a dream, just to start this patterning system off for yourself. Think, do I have a body? Tell yourself before you go into dream state what you're looking for. That's another thing too. So point that out to yourself before you go to bed. So look down at your body. What type of bodies do you have in your dreams? Do you have your own? Do you have some other version? That's a good thing to pay attention to. Because what I've seen for myself, not to say just even as a channeler, but I also do see other forms of what I still believe is myself, because the next thing I want to talk about aside from body is what is attached to the body is our eyes, our perception of the way we are asphyxiated in a dream. Whose eyes are you looking through in your dream? But I will say there's a first person and a third person situation. And then there's like corporeal form. That's what I was trying to say before. Corporeal form of being in a dream. So the first person one is like you actually looking through your own eyeballs. There's a sense that it is always you, no matter what. Doesn't matter what body you saw. You still know that in essence it is you, no matter where you are and what perceptors are looking. So there's the first person one where you are the, let's say, the first person avatar in the video game. Let's just say, where you're the one who's picking up the items. You know what I mean? You're the one that's moving the objects, okay? In the dream, okay? And most times when you are looking through your own eyes, you do have asphyxiated limbs, meaning like you do see hands, you do see feet. Sometimes you don't. Like I said, you will have more of a corporeal form where you have the essence of arms and hands, but you can't touch anything. That's why sometimes when people say, oh, I'm fighting, but I'm not hitting them, and I'm not, because you just don't have the real arms you think you do. So when you are in a dream where you are seeing through your eyeballs, you'll notice that there's a tangibility that you have. You can pick up stuff like, let's say, sticks, objects, things of that nature. You can ride motorcycles. You can do things like that. That's a different state of person. When you're the third person, sometimes, and I've had this happen many times, whereas if I am watching the interaction of a dream, okay? So some of us can even also notice that as a third person, this is a form of remote viewing, even in you could just be remote viewing in the 3D and not recognize that you're in the 3D remote viewing. But for those that are more advanced at this, when you are remote viewing within a dream space, you could be seeing yourself, or you could be seeing other participants outplay something within a dream state. And what I'll say is, like, for example, what I mean by this, one of the dreams I had years ago, it was very surreal, and it was within my own city. But the reason why I knew that it was more real and perhaps 3D based, even though it was in my dream state, was because of the color scheme. The color scheme was just as vivid as I presently see it. And that's the way I kind of differentiate between seeing like a 3D remote viewing state and a dream state. Because a dream state, you'll also notice that hue shift or that color or light shift within the dream state, or also your tangibility of things. I was on a boat. I saw two men on this boat, and I saw a very young girl being transported. I saw my own city. I saw the different landmarks, and all I knew is that I was on this boat, perhaps like a bug on the boat, seeing and perceiving, but not with the eyes of a bug, if you get my drift. And I could feel the emotions of the scared woman. So I realized at that moment that I was there to perceive her, because that's who I was attached to in this remote view situation. And I was seeing these two men. I realized that they were speaking a different language. I realized that she was being transported against her will. And when I woke up from the dream, there was this understanding that that was like as if I had just viewed something that had just happened. So the thing is that for some of us that are remote viewers, you can get some of that happening in your dream time. Just want to point that out. But what I will say is that if you are the third person viewer in a dream, sometimes what it is doing is showing you a perspective of, let's say, an interaction you were wondering how it would work out, or certain characters that you're interested in observing against your personality, different things. I know I might be losing you guys like this, but think of if, I wish I could really speak to like how I could phrase this in a sense. It's like the dream that you're interacting with, there is an element of, like I said, a consciousness. Like they call it the subconscious, but your subconscious is also interacting with your conscious self. So in a way, sometimes your conscious self creates different dream scenarios or playouts so that you can learn something. And the only way I could really describe this is if you're a Trekkier, is like when they would go into the hollow suites and they would create scenarios or stories. And let's say, for example, it was to play out Sherlock Holmes and you have to solve the murder case in the holodeck, right? It's kind of like that. But in this case, what's happening is that you see yourself as a player in that holodeck scenario playing out. And then you see the other participants in that same hollow series, hollow working of some sort, where you're actually like as a bug's eye view or a bird's eye view watching the interaction. Your subconscious is trying to teach you something about the interaction. That's what's really important if you are seeing yourself in a third person situation within a dream. And sometimes you might not even see yourself. You will feel yourself like a bird or a bug, etc., etc., and you'll be watching different situations. So what I will say is that in some cases you are somewhat of a third person in a dream state. So I wanted to point that out. Also, what is to be acknowledged in a dream, and don't mistake this with what I am saying as a nightmare, because that's not the only scenario where this plays out, because fear is different for everyone. There are dreams that can cause you, let's say, the fear of death, and a lot of us associate that with nightmares. But we also have dreams that can fundamentally work on smaller fears. Like, let's say, for example, you have a fear of speaking out in crowds, etc. Your subconscious might put you in, again, a hologram dream state where you have to, like, maybe investigate something. get in front of people, put you in these awkward situations that make you face the fear from a subconscious standpoint. So it's kind of like playing out scenarios for you so that you can say to yourself, hey, you managed to pass these scenarios here in the subconscious version. Maybe you're ready to do it in the conscious version. And the thing is that it all depends on how much fear or joy you get out of those situations. If, let's say, for example, and this is what I feel as someone who does connect with higher selves, etc., those fear sets get played out in the subconscious simply because they're ways of you perceiving as a soul if you're ready to follow through in the physical. So what I will say is that sometimes you'll get the same type of scenarios in a dream. The characters might be different, and it still causes you to have the same type of reaction. Let's say, for example, it's to tell your boss that you want a raise and that you're worth more money, and that's like your fear in the physical. You'll start to have dreams where it's like you get slighted at a fast food joint and you have to ask for your money back, and you're dealing with a figure, like an authority figure. They'll put you in different scenarios so that you can reach that point. If, let's say, your higher self or your higher soul self sees that you're still scared of even those scenarios, you may not do that in the physical. That's what I'm trying to say. So sometimes as you creep to fighting those little battles in the subconscious, you'll move that barometer to joy. And once your higher self or your soul self sees, okay, this is how she's dealing with it here, let's move her on to the real show, which is your life in the physical, like, well, I mean, in the sense of like what we perceive to be our day-to-day. Another thing, pay attention to is locations. Locations, persons, places. Because truly, I know for a fact that I stay in the same locations over and over and over again. These types of dreams, when I notice that I'm in the same location, be it my city, another one I notice is that I tend to be in some San Francisco-like place all the time. It always reminds me of San Francisco, the same bridges, the same waterways, the same housing structures on hills, etc. So I notice that I tend to go, and a place in New Mexico, let's say, that's another one that's come up in the last years. I tend to go to these three spots a lot. Or two other ones I've noticed, suburban areas of like cul-de-sacs, the same type of cul-de-sacs all the time, and or garage parks where I'm always going upstairs. I'm always running and doing some form of something in garage parks. And the thing is that they're so repeated. Different scenarios every time, but so repeated in the locations. What I would say is that when you are in those locations, try to spot and kind of take hold of the people that you meet in these locations, the same locations, because you'll notice that those people tend to be the same too. And the more you can, bit and physically get those things together, those little puzzle pieces, the more assured you'll be when you get to those subconscious, like dimensional ways of thinking or being or existing at those times. And I'm pointing that out because this might be helpful for someone. Now, wow, I could go, see, that's what I'm saying. When you get me started on a topic, I could go on for days. Another thing, guides. Who are guides in our dreams? Some of us are doing these, what I would call missions or schooling, etc., or just like tests or just like different, sorry, I'm just going to change up the music here. I don't want to lose anybody, but guides. So how guides work is a little different, okay? Because you'll notice, and I'm just going to use my own situation, and this has happened in different formations, but this is a pretty good situation that I feel makes sense to me, and I can portray it this way because it might be different for you guys. But if you can see the similarities in what I'm saying, then you might be able to take hold of these things too. I noticed for, I would say, over 3 years now, I've been going to a lot of different places that have the same theme, okay? Same thing. The theme that I keep seeing is more of like crime-based bodies. Let's just keep it like that. Like I will be involved in gangs. Like it could be triad. It could be Chicago, like street gang style. I can be in a biker situation, or I can be in a militant, but let's say astral militant place, or with those situations happening, okay? let's just call those more like training grounds, okay? Because what I noticed is that when I end up in those 4 situations or 4 structured, like again, back to the holodeck thing, I seem to always be around gang affiliated situations. Now, the thing is that in each of these situations, I tend to have one person, okay, by me always, who is guiding me in those dreams. And what I mean by this is, like, for some reason, I'm like an infiltrator to these groups. Like, they've accepted me. I'm in the groups, okay? And I have a guide, and usually who the guide is who I've associated in my personal life, throughout my life, to those particular groupings. So, for example, when I would see certain biker gang ones, I'll just give one example. There is a friend affiliation I have with a actual biker from a long, long time ago in my old life. Doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that whenever I have this infiltrative biker gang dream or setup, and this happens, I've said over like 25 times now that I've been in these situations, usually in a New Mexico state of place, could be Mexico for all I know. And what happens is that for some reason, I always see that one friend in each one of those dreams. He is my guide in that dream. He tells me how to talk to them. He tells me how to deal with them. It's kind of like a Jiminy Cricket, but it's a person. And the thing is like, in a sense, those groupings can't see my guide. So, and the same went for when I was in these like triadic gang situations. That's how I knew I could ride a motorcycle, because I was always on motorcycles with that group. I picked a person from my past that I affiliated with that type of thing. And I'm sorry, my boy is, anyways, long story short, he's my guide in those situations. And it's weird because the thing is like, all we're really doing for our guide is making an embodiment of who we affiliate with the most in those situations. And usually that's who your guide is. I'll give you one other example. I had a dream, and this is a recurring dream. And those are interesting because it's the same locations too, where I end up battling myself in the dream. And every time I have that dream, I see my same old school friend there negotiating, talking, and telling me what's going to take place in that situation. So it's always the person that I maybe feel is the best minded, or the one that I would look to in a situation like that for advice. So you can see that these trending repetitive dreams have purpose, because the thing is that you don't know what type of mission you're playing out for your subconscious in a dream. So I just wanted to point that out. Last but not least, teams and missions. So, like I said, I tend to be in Toronto, San Francisco, cul-de-sacs, and let's say garage situations. In every one of those places, I may be on my own, or I commune and meet up with the same persons over and over and over again, like a team. We go into a location and we fulfill certain capacities in the location. And when we do get together, we trade off information about what we're handling in our locations. So if you are somebody who feels like you've had those types of dreams, chime in, write me a message, because I feel like it's going to be really interesting to figure out who our team members are. And the thing is too, is like, I've met some of mine, and some of them I know, and some of them I don't know. So it's the reason why I say it's interesting, because when I saw the first one I knew, it was like I felt for the first time like there is that interconnectedness that we even have with different beings, and it can help us understand like what we're doing in those particular dreams, which I call the team mission dreams, where you're like I've had dreams where it's like I end up in a group of people, we get disbanded in a cul-de-sac, and we got to clear out people's houses and take out people's stuff and help people find places to go. It's like, so it's very mission-esque. And I have those. And here's another thing. The team and mission ones can even be in more astral places. Like you could even end up on a ship. You could even end up on a different planet. on those ones as well. I personally always find that I'm in, like, let's say, temporal causeways. I don't know. Like, I go to the same destinations or the same places all the time. And I do take record as best as I can. What I try to do is look at the uniforms I'm wearing, look at the clothing I'm wearing, look at the body I have, look at where my surroundings. I look at what season it is. Is there stars? Is there a moon? Is there a sun? Is there clocks? You have to, if you do become very investigative of your dreams, you try to record all of these things the minute you wake up, with all the things you can remember. Was it day? Was it night? Were you on planet, off planet? Were you on ship, not on ship? Were you were you here in this time or in a different time? Like, the amount of questions tend to help you kind of quantify and answer certain questions for yourself, because you start to realize that there's more rhyme and reason when you're dreaming. And then there are those dreams, and please don't get it twisted, that they make no freaking sense. You can't even get a handle. They're so abstract that those are not the dreams I'm talking about. Okay, I'm talking about the ones that are more tangible, the ones that are more reoccurring, the ones, and even when it comes to nightmares that are reoccurring, I will let you guys know if you're stuck in nightmares that are reoccurring. Those are serious fear-based situations, and I would be very, very, very leery of getting stuck in nightmares, simply because it can have physical attributes on you. Like, there are people that have actually hurt themselves. But what it is that I personally feel like sometimes that there may be certain other elements or other energies or other, let's just say, beings that get a kick from siphoning energy of fear. So what I would say to you is, sometimes if you are someone who suffers from nightmares, repeated nightmares, same fear, let's say it's fear of death, usually is fear of death that they play on. I will say this to you: try your best to be cognitive of the fact that you're in a nightmare and take more control of it. And it won't happen overnight, because the nightmare may shift, but the element of fear is still the same, fear of death. So you'll have all these different scenarios, but it's like when you get that sense of panic, like that true panic of fear of death in you, to kind of maybe create, and this is what I had to do, was create symbols within my dream to kind of tell me that I was in this nightmare set. Because it's like as if, like, I would feel that feeling of fear all the time. I would have multiple nightmares, especially as a child. And I learned to train myself out of them, in a sense. And it was from realizing, okay, every time I get this feeling in my gut that this is that I'm going to die, right? I would signal to myself, like I created a symbol for myself, okay? For me, it was the moon. I would tell myself, like, and it's a specific moon. It was a specific sliver of the moon that I told myself that when I would see it, that this is what was taking place. It was like a breadcrumb. I would, like, and again, I would do this before I would dream, or right after a nightmare, I would ask out, like, please, let's solidify the symbol in my dream, because the subconscious is also responsive to your conscious self. So as you proclaim it in your conscious life, you are kind of putting an intent behind it. So therefore, your subconscious becomes aware of that intent. So you put that symbol so that it can ignite that remembrance that you are in this type of fear-based nightmare. And that's what helps you take control. And you realize, okay, I'm in a nightmare. I have to not be scared. And I know I'm going to die. Like, you have to know you're going to die and be aware of the death, so it doesn't seem like it's creeping up on you and it's not as strong, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm in this dream again. Okay, I'm going to die. All right, like, let's just play it out. Sometimes it cultivates a strength in which then you become the pursuer, or you just let the dream dissipate because you've beat it. And you'll notice a lot of nightmares, as you face those fears, dissipate over time, because you are no longer fearful of the fear they're putting you in. It could be suffocation, anything. It could be anything that causes that one element to show up all the time. So that is my complete rendition of everything that has to do with the dream. I don't know if I lost you all, but look at me trying to explain dreams in a very succinct way. And I'm just saying, like, this is the things I've noticed, okay? I'm not saying that there is not a hell of a lot more, and there's probably a lot of you that are probably Dreamweavers yourselves. So if you are and you want to chime in on different tactics, please do. Because I truly feel like I try to analyze my dreams as best as I can, so it gives me a more broader understanding of how dimensional thinking works, different consciousnesses work, how, you know, I'm just always prying away, chipping away at my consciousness all the time. So if you share in that, please do. I'm going to do some cards. It's going to be a long one. And I'll preface that. I'll say like, or you could tap out now. But I felt like since I'm talking about dreams and all that, it's very whimsical. It's very, you know, and I haven't done cards in about a week. So cards are coming, everybody. Okay. So I'm going to do the energy oracle cards. And I'm going to see what I get, like 4 of these. And then I'll do some clarifiers. But I personally love dreaming. I think sometimes, and then there's those dreams of just complete joy that you get to like travel to different places that are just like wonderful. Feels like you're going on a vacation, but like you're not going anywhere, so to speak. Too many cards. And those ones you just don't want to wake up from. Okay, blossoming abundance. See, we're still on to this blossoming abundance because why? It's blossoming. That takes some time, but it is very fruitful and it keeps growing. So I'm glad we're getting that card today. But I hope you guys are doing well. My back, I am on a couple painkillers right now. And I'm just saying, it's just to cope with the pain. But I do feel like the mobility is getting healthier to a degree. And I just want to get healthy, happy, and whole to say the most. Community. And I'm going to get the x-ray tomorrow to see if anything did fracture. Because you never know, hairline fractures, all that jazz. But for the most part, I got my Tiger Balm on now. I just took a bath earlier. I'm trying to heal up as much as I can. And I find that sitting is very uncomfortable. So standing's not a big deal for me, even though it hurts all the time. But sitting is even worse. So, or lying down for that matter. So standing right now is quite productive. So we got blossoming abundance and community. But it is Monday. We had our last day of our long weekend. I think it's the same for the States. You guys have Labor Day as well. But yeah, everybody's going back to work or not. Depends on how the weekend went, right? But yeah, I wanted to share that because I've been paying a lot of attention to my dreams these last years. And I'm being honest, it's been trying because if you guys know, I had a lot of trip ups. Uriel, sorry, 7th chakra, that, you know, indigo thinking, that, you know, the crown chakra, the chakra of the crown, you know, because I think a lot of us are there, you know what I mean? We're there, and maybe we're sitting on our throne, or maybe we're just not there yet, but either way, it seems like these messages are for the collective that I reach out to, so it looks like there's a lot of assistance in getting our self-worth where it needs to be. You guys, realistically, it's like, I feel like the self-exploration that all of us go through is all set up the way we needed to build that brilliance, really and truly. That's the one thing I can say about life. There is never a dull moment, and there's never a non-teachable moment in life. And the thing is like, I've realized over time is like, no matter, I've allowed all of the senses of like patience, etc., of God's timing to like unfold, because I've been tired of swimming upstream. I'm sure you guys are too. But the thing I will say is that even though I may not understand the stretch of time that I am playing out, and maybe you guys don't either, but I learn and I excel and I grow so much with every instance and every situation. So it's like, in a weird way, it's like I don't ever feel like I'm off track, because it's like I feel like I'm taking in those messages and learning from them. And it's like they are these little footstools all the way through our labyrinth. I keep bringing up these things. Walking away. Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. A lot of us are walking away from a lot of ways of being. And the thing is, too, it's like I've noticed it's like when I see, like, I finally feel like I understand more so these lotus flower ideas now in my time. Because, and I'm just sharing this because I feel like I'm motivated to speak this way. These petals of this lotus, I feel like, or even an artichoke, or even that, what is that? That acorn that they associate at the Vatican. I know that it's everywhere. It's an emblem in Italy, all over the place. But it's like this pine cone, or like that type of mathematical formation, or just like unraveling. It's like, I feel like every step that we take in our lives is like a formation of a petal in this beautiful, you know, expression. It's amazing, because it's like, I keep asking myself, what was I doing before? Like, seriously, like, where was I? Like, who was I? Because it's like I've never spent enough time as I have in these last years, like really looking at life and its beauty and its sequence and everything that it gives us. It's just so masterful. So when I see things like that, I get motivated. Okay, purification for blossoming abundance. I've been seeing that a lot. White Tara. I've just been getting to know White Tara. I've been very familiar with Green Tara for some time, but White Tara I'm starting to understand more so now. I've called on her for some time. Because I figured, I was like, let's know all the colors. And I keep going back to this color thing. Because I feel like, too, like, that's why, I don't know. I'm not going to go into the color thing all over again, but I feel like for some reason, there's a reason why things are more vibrant or different hues, or why light breaks up into color, and there's something to be said about the perceptions of self within color. Why are you stalling here now? So purification. A lot of us, that's what we're trying to strive for. I know I am. I'm not, trust me. I have cut out a lot of things in my life, but I still have many, many hills to climb when it comes to purification. I mean, I've started with water. I've cut out my toothpaste, my deodorant. I try to eliminate as much microplastics, you know, and micromaterials, period, as I can. But I mean, like, even our clothing, it's everywhere. It's very difficult, but I try. I know when it comes to eating, the main one is sugar. Sugar, sugar. Detach from drama when it comes to community. Ain't that the truth? Ah. Communities causing drama? I've never heard of such things. I think that's where drama begins, is in different communities, right? Just saying. Work your magic, Saint Germain. And see, this is what, ooh, this is sexy. This is so sexy right now. See how both of these? Indigo, we're going purple, we're going royal. See, Saint Germain. I would say that he's a cultivator. He is someone who is the... Well, I mean, I'll get into that when I read this all out. And the last one is walking away, meditate, Siddhartha Gautama. Buddha, the middle ground, what I'm always talking about. Okay, looks like we've got a pretty spicy reading today. Give me a second to postulate and get this all formulated in my mind. But purification showed up for blossoming abundance, which is White Tara. Detach from drama, which is Pallas Athena, and work your magic. Saint Germain showed up for 7th chakra, okay, the crown, and walking away showed up with Buddha and meditation. So let me see what I get from this, guys. This is going to be interesting. Ooh, that's nice. Somebody just said, "What's up?" That was a nice touch. I haven't been touched in a while. Thank you. Anyways, okay. This is interesting. Okay, I just read something very interesting. Okay. Blossoming abundance, like I've said before, is something that takes time. It's something that it needs to ferment in the sense of like seeds blossoming. They take time. However, when they do come in, they are fruitful and they can come at different time frames. Like some of you that are gardeners understand that you can plant perennials, non-perennials. You can plant plants that will blossom at different months, etc., just so that your bouquet or your garden looks a certain way at certain times of the season. So what I'm getting from this is, like, in a sense, every seed that you have distilled in this last time, years, maybe recently, maybe over time, is now sprouting, and they're going to sprout at different times. Like, you're just going to be able to pluck a beautiful flower or every beautiful fruit you've sown, and I feel like it's going to come in different stages and waves, but it's overall, like when it's all in flagrante of being, you're going to notice that that abundance is all around you. Now, why I think I got this too, and if you see it, it's back to this lotus flower like I was just talking about. What I get from that too is like how I feel like there's a never endingness to it, and why I think purification comes up is because in order to accept as much abundance as possible, let's say the cleaner our chakra system is, our energy system, our whole body system, etc., our temple, the more clean it is, the more receptive we are, like receivers we can be. this will allow more abundance to come in, because like, let's say for example, you're blockaded in certain ways within your own temple or in your own mind or in your own consciousness. You cannot receive as much abundance, because let's say if you look at yourself like a colander, you know, if a couple of those parts are filled up, you get water streaming at you, they're going to get blocked out in certain sections of the colander. Let's just say that's the best way I could describe it. You might be missing windows of abundance, put it that way. But what I'll say is that, and please don't take this the wrong way, I don't know if the person I'm speaking with or the persons I'm speaking to in this collective are part of a community. But what I will say is that what I'm noticing is that maybe, and this can be positive, but I also want to point this out. I noticed that Athena here is just by herself and she's waving goodbye. Okay. And this is very like Greek style. You know, we got the pillars, we got the sword, we've got the robe and dress. And these women also look very Greek. So in a weird way, what I'm seeing is that maybe perhaps you are a man or a woman. It does not matter, because what is mentionable here is that one single person is saying goodbye to 3 people, it seems like. Or it could be a larger group, but for some reason I'm getting 3 women. So maybe there is somebody in my collective that this is directly associated with, in the sense that you are one woman saying goodbye to 3 women. And in a sense that might help you embody a better community. Because this detached from drama tells me that you're walking away from somebody, someplace, I would say from peoples or persons. And not for nothing, it just seems like, yeah, they're very lovely beings, but they seem a little full of themselves. So whoever these people are, they might be a little too full of themselves, and that's why you're walking away from the community. Because it's like there's a nobleness in her that makes me think like, you know, she's too rich and noble in her identity to be shrouded around these like not for nothing, more risque type of beings. That's all I'm getting. Just know that this is my intuition about this. And this could work the same in a male directive, but I'm going to stick to the females because that's what I've seen. Because the thing is like you might be going towards a new community because of 3 persons, or there's 3 persons that you want to gravitate towards. Maybe you are saying hello. Like maybe you're detaching from drama and you're saying hello to these 3 women. It can work that way as well. But I will say that what I'm getting from this is like the women in this picture don't look like they're amused of you saying hello or goodbye. So what I think is that whoever I'm speaking to, you're going to make a decisive decision in your own community of what you claim to be community in the forefront. Okay. And what I think this is really, and okay. The reason why I'm going to cross-reference this with the walking away thing is because detached from drama, she looks like she's saying goodbye. This one's saying I'm walking away. There's this instance that these are across from each other, but feel me with this. Let's just say what I think Buddha represents can be double layered for whoever this is. That has to do with walking away. This feeling I'm getting is that whoever you are, maybe you're walking away from a grouping of friends to maybe go after something that you truly want. Maybe something that these 3 people or your community is hindering. I don't know why I'm getting that, but I am. And you're taking the steps to detach from the drama and walk away. And I see women all across this. So this is probably for a woman, I'm sorry to say. But a man or a woman. I don't want to generalize. But what I'm getting is that the reason why you're walking away for the most part is because you want to find this peace that comes. And why I say a peace is because obviously Buddha finds enlightenment. Okay. And again, enlightenment could, or it could mean that you find a man like a Buddha, or someone who's balanced like Buddha, or someone who brings you peace like Buddha. Or it can represent that you want to be the embodiment of this, so that's why you're walking away. Okay? Now, in between these 2 states of being, you being with the community or you walking away to find your enlightenment or find your enlightened partner or person, is in between these 2 is this idea of Archangel Uriel and Saint Germain. So why I said this is interesting is because this has to do with royalty I'm getting in my standpoint because of all the indigo. And why I think this is interesting too is because crown, gold. I see like this is like Saint Germain might be bestowing what comes with, let's say, a royal lineage, etc. I'm getting this feeling that you're not only going to walk into a elevated way of being, you will also perhaps be working your magic to procure this element, or let's say materialize the larger gold reflectiveness. Let's just say, like, I feel like when you work your magic, that's when all the elements of royalty are going to be bestowed to you, or when certain elements of your sovereignty are revealed within yourself, maybe from all this walking away or changing, etc. And the reason why Saint Germain, work your magic, kind of stands out, because I feel like when it comes to Saint Germain, there is an eloquence and a regalness to his nature, but at the same time, he is an endower of let's say, I don't know. When I think of him, I think of someone who decrees, like, you know, who reads out a will at the end of someone's death, like a decreer of financials, or a decreer of passed on what's the dowries, or I don't know. I just get this feeling when it comes to him, it's like you cannot have this sovereign nature not have money, or you can't have abundance, or you can't have, like, I'm getting like gold. I don't know why. I feel and see gold. I think crown. I think this textahedron thing he's got going on is blinging out like a crown of gold. So I feel like it's either you're going to be crowned, or you're going to find some type of richness in this time frame of detaching from drama, and then you're going to walk away. And the other thing I want to say is, like, if you look, the gates are golden too. She looks like she's illuminated in gold. I don't know. There's something about this whole thing about you standing in your power, detaching from drama, maybe by your own community. You tend to find your power, you put on that crown, and maybe you step into not only the blossoming abundance, but you step into like your sovereign, rich lineage, something like that. And it's all stemming from the walking away. Not even, it's like she's walking through a door. And this could even be, like I've said in the past about like timelines or different ways of being, that once you step into a new way of being, you can't really go back to an old way of being. So I feel like when she's taking that one last look, it's like she's saying, all right, guys, here I go. And she's like blasting off into her new life. And that may be to find her peace, or to locate this like Buddhistic, middle grounded, enlightened self, or to meet her own version of Buddha, maybe a enlightened man. So I will leave you at that, and I hope that you enjoyed. This is a very long read, but I had my energy read to add to my dream talk. If you like what I'm saying, please like, please share, please subscribe. It is free. I'm going to now go to bed. And I think the next couple of days I'm going to be healing up. So I'm probably going to be making more creative content, since I'm going to be home just chilling out. But I love you guys all lots, and have a wonderful, wonderful day and or night.